I had to deviate a little bit from my what's in the program with regards to the key points. As I went along and I prepared this, my thinking kind of evolved. So you might see some differences here. So the things that I want to cover today are understanding the different types of standard reports. So when you go into Master Control and you click on that glasses icon, that's what you'll see. And understanding how to create custom reports. So you don't have to just click on that button and be satisfied with what's there. You can move down to what you need. And this was where I deviated a little bit. There isn't a whole lot of role-based reports. Basically, it's just public versus private. So I'll cover a little bit on how to do that. Not much to it, but I'll show you how to do that. And we also cover process reports. They're a different animal, but we will. I'll do my best to try and give you a bit of a primer there. We'll understand the formats that reports can be reviewed. There's 3 of them. We'll understand how to use and configure the reporting dashboard. Not sure how many people use this, but you know, it's there. It's available to be used, so I'll show you a little bit on how to do it. We'll talk about scheduled reports and rules, so you know how to have it happen to you automatically. And the last thing I will be talking about is best practice use of reports. So in other words, there's good ways to deliver that. Okay, so start off here, we've got the different types of standard reports. Not much detail here, just basically a kind of overview about the different type of modules. So in Portal, you've got reports that have to do with any type of user role or any type of security activity within the system, such as licenses. So you know, if there's a license usage report there you can use. You also have life cycles, vaults, and info cards. Something that a lot of people, well, maybe not a lot of people, but a question that I have heard in the past is, why are info card reports under Portal? That makes no sense. Well, actually it does, because the info cards cover the whole system. You don't just have info cards in the documents module. You also have them in training, and you also have them in audit in various places. So that's why they come under Portal, so just so you know. Document reports, you've got reports that have to do with packets, advanced and process checkouts. Document info cards, you've got the approval, history, and master list. And you also have routes, info card types, and standards reports. Process module. Process module, like I said, is a bit of a different animal when it comes to flexibility and complexity of reports. So you can really dig in and do some good stuff there. Doesn't really have a specific set of categories like the others do. You do, however, have the ability to create data sets, which is where the strength lies. So you do that on each of the form templates, which allows you to report on just about every field imaginable in a form. So if there's something in a form that you want to see, chances are you can report. You got your training module reports. So you've got completed, pending, and required training reports for all of your trainees. So you've got that there. You also have various reports on the same type of reports, job codes and courses. You also have one on exams. And then lastly, you've got the audit module, and it too is a bit of a different animal, that you can create reports from the different types of audits that you're working on. As those are situational, they kind of fall beyond the scope of my presentation. But you've got the standard reports, you've got the audit cycle time, audit entities, audits, observation reports, and responses. So, now, I'll be honest, you know, I'll tell you, like I told you at the outset, I've been with Master Control for 4 years. Master Control is and I've been in the IT industry for some 20-odd years, and Master Control is probably one of the most difficult products I've ever had. Well, not difficult, but most complex. So audit's one of those modules that I don't have as much experience with, so that's about the extent of the audit module reports that I have for you. If you need more information, I can get you in touch with any of the audit specialties. So, all right, so those are the standard reports. So you have these reports, you click on the icon, you get a list on the page. Well, what can you do with it? Well, from that you can create custom reports. And you'll have to also forgive me, there are several slides that I just kind of put a bunch of my thoughts on the page. In creating this, I was still trying to decide whether or not I should sit down at the computer and show you a demo, or whether or not I should put it in slides. I ultimately decided on putting it in slides, but some of my thoughts were still in the form of, well, if I demo it, this is what you do. So bear with me here. So with existing reports, you take a pre-existing system report. So any of the ones that come out of the box with master control, you can edit it. So, there's two ways to do it. You can click on the button to view it first, and then from there you can filter it out. Or if you know exactly what you want, you know exactly the fields that you need, you just go straight to the edit button. So, I don't know how well you can see this. Unfortunately, the screenshots that I took, I kind of had to fit them in a small area, but hopefully this makes sense. So what we're using here is the master list report. I don't know if this thing does. It does, good. So what we're using here is the master list report. Hopefully you're familiar with that. So my example here, we just click on the view icon there. So from there, you click on the filter button. And sorry, I've got some arrows here to kind of show the flow. And that brings you to the edit screen, where you can choose the different fields that you want to filter on. In this situation, with my example here, I chose to filter on Vault, which contains R-None-Release. So that's the filter I used, and that's the report I got. So if you can notice here under the info card number here, it's RLN Doc 003. Obviously, this is a test system, so no real rhyme or reason to those info card numbers. So that's what you'll see. Of course, obviously, you can filter by any of the other examples that there are, but that's basically the idea. So anytime you filter a report, it presents you with a whole list of different fields that you can filter on. And obviously, the more fields that you put on there, the more limited the report's going to be. Sorry, here's one of those puke on a page slides, so bear with me here. So the other example of creating a custom report is you click on the New button. So you start with a complete slate. From there, you click on, you get the different data sources. You've got info card, you've got event card, you've got the different data sources that you can use there. And then from there, you click on the Actions button. You'll be presented with everything in that data source. So everything in that data source, you click on that, and I'm sorry I don't have a slide for this, but you got the little icon with the finger on it, for lack of a better term. So you click on that, you see everything in the data source, and then from there you can limit the amount of columns that you need, and then you put in the filters that you want. So it was one of those situations where I put in if I were demoing. So in this situation, you manage column, you can remove the notes, change the parent info card number. See, these are the different columns that are available. So, that's okay. So this is the data sources. So you click on New, and you're presented with this data source screen here. So these are the different data sources. Obviously, I had to take a screenshot, but there are more available there. So the one that I chose is InfoCard. So there's that finger icon, for lack of a better word. And then when you click on that, it brings you to that screen. And then from there, you can click on Filter. So obviously, you don't want the whole thing because it's not something you can really consume in one setting. So from there, you put in your filter contents, and then you click on Submit and View. And then you're presented with another screen here where you can sort it. You can sort it by ascending or descending. In this situation, I chose to click on the ascending button. Now here, this next column here is where you choose the different columns in the report. If you've looked at the reports, you know that you've got a whole huge amount of columns. Well, obviously you can't see them all on one page. So on this screen here, this is where you choose the different columns that you want to see in the report. You can, over here on this side, you've got the available columns. So anything that's not selected will show up over here. And if everything that's currently selected in the report will be here. So you take the columns that you don't want, you highlight them, and you click on that chevron, which moves them over here. So if there's anything over here that you do need, you click on this chevron to bring it back over here. So and once you do that, you get your report. So that's how that works. As you can see over here, you've got the different users and stuff like that that own the report. So you know you can pretty much get any type of data that you need. Another disclaimer: sometimes we hear a lot in support is that the master control reporting tools are lacking, I guess, for a better word. Well, the bottom line is master control is not a reporting tool. Okay? It is a quality management system which holds your documents in for cards. We do have reports that can give most people what they need. Does it give you everything you need? Unfortunately, it doesn't. But for the most part, if it's in there, you can get it out. Okay, so the next area that we have here is you can create custom reports via the dataset profiles. This is an interesting little aspect that I discovered recently. So for this example, I created a data set out of the custom fields in Master Control. So to do that, you go to Portal, Configuration, Custom Fields. And for each custom field that you have defined, you can have the ability to make it a data set by clicking on the button. So I don't know if you can see that very well. I don't know what that is, if that's a book or something like that. I'm not really sure what that is. But that button there is how you create a data set out of a custom field. So when you get your data set set up, then you can go to My Master Control Analytics Dataset Profiles. So from here you can edit an existing profile or create new to create a new one. When you get this screen here, from here, this is the example that I created. You've got your custom fields. So that new data set that I created, it will show up as a drop down here. So I open up that drop down. It shows me all of the different columns that I can select on here. And then over here on this side is the side you can link it to. So in this situation, I choose to use InfoCard data set. So what you do in this situation is you choose a column that's similar on both sides so that you can link them to each other. And once you do that, then you click on Add Link, and then this is what you see. You'll see this little link here, which links the two reports that can give you a report on. So obviously, you click on Save, and then from there it makes it active. So then you go to Portal Reports, and then you'll see your report that you have to use. Now, this works the same as the others. You know, obviously you can click on the glasses icon to show you everything, or you can filter it down even more by clicking on the edit button. Any questions so far? Go ahead.
At this point, this is private, right?
Yes. Right. And that's a good point. Any reports that you create under your username will remain private, and we'll get to that point later. So yes, it is private. All right, so here's an example of the report that came from that dataset profiles. So like I said, from here you can use the same techniques that we talked about earlier to filter down your columns or filter down the things. So public versus private reports. Thank you for that great segue. Random graphic there of an airplane engine. So you have this great report that you've created. Now, how do you make it available to your users? Well, it's really quite simple. First of all, you have to save it. So you go through all this setting things up, and then you save it. And then you see this custom report that you've created. There's a button out here that, so you have to make it public. And that's basically all there is to it. It's private while you create it, and then when you make it public, then everybody can see it. That's okay. So for my next section that I'm going to talk about here is understanding the different formats that you can view reports in. So there are three ways. You can view them inside Master Control. You can use the portable document format, or you can use them, or you can view them in Excel spreadsheet. So, you can use them in whatever format you need. Obviously, with an Excel spreadsheet, you can manipulate the data outside of Master Control if that's what you want. Viewing your reports inside Master Control is the easiest and the quickest ways. The reason why is because processing is only done once and only requires the web browser to view them. All you do to display the reports is simply click on the glasses icon. So, like I said, that's the simplest way to do that. You bring it up in Master Control, you click on it, and bam, it's there. If it's a large report, it may take a bit of processing to get that together, but processing is only done once and it's there. Second way to view reports is in PDF format. It does take extra time to do that, and I'll explain that in just a second here. So, the first step is to view the report that you want to see by clicking on the icon with the glasses. Then you find the Export menu option. Notice that you have three options: Excel, PDF, and Excel Limit. Click on PDF. When processing finishes, it should display your report in PDF format. And there you can save it or print it via the PDF plugin in your browser. Now, I'm not sure why it does this, I'll be quite honest with you. But when you export a report via PDF or Excel, first of all, you go through the process, it renders in the browser, and you click on Export. And then it seems like you have to go through the whole process again. I'm not sure why it does this. All I can say is, just to give you a little hint about what happens on the back end. You got your web server here, you got your database server over here. And the web server is where Blue Dragon or Rilo is. So Rilo makes the request to the database server. So the database server chugs on it, gets your data, and then sends it back to the web server for you to display it. And if you'll notice that when you do that export, it brings up another window. So it seems like what it does is it goes back out to the database server again to gather up this information, bring it back over to the web server, and then put it in PDF format. So that's why it's an expensive process. So, just keep that in mind. If you have a large report, that can cause a problem. So. And the third way to display it, like I said, is in Excel format. Again, this takes extra time to create, so keep that in mind. To display your report in Excel format, take the following steps. Click on the glasses icon. Once the drop-down menu, export menu comes, and you choose Excel, you get a dialog box asking what you'd like to do. So you get this lovely little dialog box here. What do you want to do with What do you want to do with myexcel.xls? So obviously you have three options here. You can click on Open, which brings it right up. You can click on Save or Save As. Okay. The reason why I wouldn't suggest that you choose Save is because myexcel.xls is not very descriptive. You have no idea what that means. So if you download it and put it on your desktop, you go away and do something else, or maybe even you come back a week later, you're like, well, what is this report? What's it do? What's myexcel.xls? Okay. So that's why I recommend that you choose the Save As option. So that'll allow you to change the file name so it will make sense to you. So, that third one there, Save As. Change the file name, make it something that makes sense to you somewhere down there. So when you do save the file, you might get a dialog box like this. It looks kind of scary. File formatting extension of whatever.xls don't match. It could be corrupted or unsafe unless you trust the source and don't open it. Hopefully you trust the source of master control. That's the idea. So you just click on yes. Yeah, like I said, you don't need to worry about this dialog box. It comes up on occasion. Just click on yes. You're good to go. So any questions thus far on how that works? Pretty straightforward, but any questions? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Is there a way to limit SQL reports? So not necessarily private, but not necessarily public.
Right, yeah, scheduled is one way, but within master control, at least in version 10.1, which is where I took most of my screenshots, I'm not aware of any, I could be wrong on that, but I'm not aware of any. It's either private, you can see the reports that you create, or you make it public where everybody can see it.
So private and then distributed to
Any questions? Go ahead. Well, the only problem with that is, you can create the role, but to my knowledge, there isn't a way to make the role just available to a supervisor. It's either but, it's something I can research.
But if you just build it as a role, then
That's a good question. I'll have to check on that one.
Reports don't disappear just because the user that created it leaves.
No, they don't.
No.
So it's
Oh, no, absolutely
My boss
not.
from 6 years ago still has reports in our system that would go in.
Right. Right, yeah. Sorry, thank you for clarifying that.
I thought it was
Now, if that does happen, if somebody has a report that you really need and that person leaves the company and you say login and all of that, there is ways to change the report user to somebody else. It's one of those where we have to go in to the database and make the changes that way. So that's what you call support for you through those kind of things. So just so you know that that's available. Okay, any other questions? All right, move on. So my next section here is understand how to use and configure the reporting dashboard. So just by a show of hands, how many of you even know what the dashboard is, or how many of you use it? Anybody out there? Okay, got one, a couple here. So before we understand how to use the reporting dashboard, we need to really understand how charts work, because charts are a big part of what the dashboard is. So sometimes I get calls from people who say, well, how do I know which reports have charts and which don't? Well, I'll tell you that, I'll be the first to admit that, I'm not a math whiz or anything like that. I had passed college algebra in college. So trigonometry and I didn't quite get along. But, the bottom line is you have to have, if you have a report that's just a list, chances are it's not going to be chartable. But you have to have something that's chartable. So in other words, something that you can plot along an XY axis. So, for example, a list of info cards. That's not really going to be something that you can create a chart on. But if you have a list of info cards in specific info card types, well, you got two data points. So you got the info card types and you got the info cards. So that's something you can create a chart on. So something to keep in mind there. So if your report has different levels in it, for example, you go and look at the report and you see that little icon up in the corner with the different levels, and you can create a chart. So for our purposes, we're going to go ahead and use the document cycle time report. Hopefully some of you are familiar with that one. So to create the chart off the report, you go to the document cycle time report, click on the chart details button. I've got my lovely little arrows to indicate flow here. And then you click on submit, and which come down here. You click on save as, and then from here you click on submit. So right here, when you save this customized report, and really this is, you can do other things with it, but this is just the quickest way to get it in charting. So you save your report and you give it some type of report name. The default there is just document cycle time along with the date. So you can type other stuff in here. It gives you a tab space that you can type something that will make sense to you. So there you navigate to dashboard, My Master Control Analytics, dashboards, and then click on New. Select the report that you created and click on Use. You go to Dashboards, click on New, and you've got your chart. And you just, from there, you on View. And from there, you click on, I'll get to it in just a second. Click on Submit, and then it shows up into your dashboards. And then from there, you can view it. Yes, what's your question?
Go back one screen. You have a series of colors on your chart. One of the complaints I'm getting from my Puerto Rico office is I think that their graphs and charts are only showing up in a very nondescript color of your shirt, blue. And they don't like it. I don't know how to tell them to change it. I think I tried different things. How did you get colors?
It just showed up that way, to be quite honest with you.
Is that 10? Is that
Yes.
B10?
Yes, it's the
So
first example.
is the problem B11 just doesn't have any color enhancement?
I wouldn't think so, but
Does it have anything to do with my theme or skin? The coloring?
honestly, I don't think so. I mean, as far as I know, the different colors should be there. But I'll have to go back and check. Let me just make another real quick observation here. Because I am a backline engineer, I'm going to be at the Genius desk. So if there's any questions and I'm not answering for you here, come find me and we'll look at it together. So, maybe this is one we can look at together. As far as I know, the colors should be just fine. And maybe there's something I'm missing in the
They're
version.
the color of that very first one, and all of them are the same colors.
Yeah, that's
And I don't know if it's their reporting style. I don't personally make charts, so.
right.
But I tried it when she said it, and I got blue ones too.
Oh,
I got blue
you
ones too.
you did.
I did
Okay.
try it when she complained. They want colors.
Come find me on the Genius desk and we'll take a look at that. Okay. As far as I know, this should be the default. It should get different color charts.
That's 10.
Right.
There may be an issue where if I'm looking at deviations on October, November, December, January, February, because I'm looking at deviations, they may all be the same color. Whereas if I was looking at info card types, I'd have this subtype, this subtype, this subtype would be different things I'm looking at, and it may assign them different colors.
Yeah, that's a possibility. Okay. So like I said, here's your dashboard, and then from there you can use it. Okay. All right. So process reports. As I mentioned at the outset, process is kind of a different. Oops, wrong way. Process is a bit of a different animal with regards to reporting. You have more flexibility and more complexity there than you do in the other parts. So here's a general screen of the data sets. Like it says here, setting up your data sets properly is the most crucial part of making reporting in the process module work for you. So you get your data sets properly set up properly, and then you should be good to go. So you've got the data sets that come with the solutions packages, or you can create your own. So here's the anatomy of a data set. So over here, we've got your template info card. Right? So you go to the Form Fields tab, and you have a whole list of all of the fields that are present in your template info card. All of those translate over here to the data set process. So if you notice, I've opened the solutions package for Kappa there. And if you want to change the name here, you can. So from here, and now this is if you're, for example, if you're creating a new data set, you know, that this information here is stuff that you're going to fill in. But the important part is this drop-down box, okay? So you open up this drop-down box and you select one of the form template info cards. And when you do that, all of the form fields here below populate. And that it's from there that you can select the different form fields that you can use in the data set. Any questions about that? Okay, like I said, all the form fields come from the form template, so you can report on any form field. This default one has everything selected. However, if you don't need the report for anything on it, if you don't need all of the reports, excuse me, I'm sorry. If you don't need all of the form fields on that particular template, you can deselect them. Or, you know, if you want to keep the one that's there and you want to create a new one, you can do that as well. And then you can select that particular form template info card, select the different fields that you want. So you can do it that way, or, you know, if you need to create a new one, you can just select those, or you can select them all, or you can filter them out later in the different. So here's the report. It's the same interface as you saw with the. So you've got the Kappa by source report. You've got the columns over here that are available and the ones that are currently selected. So if you got your data set over here and you've got your report over here, all of the form fields are going to be over here, but they will also be under currently selected. So if you think at some point that, yeah, I might need that form field at some point, but I don't need it right now. So there's no need to create a whole nother data set. All you need to do is just modify your report here and take out the information that you need. Data sets do have to be built, so that's something to keep in mind. So essentially, they refer to tables in the master control database. If you create a custom or a new data set, then keep in mind that it will not be available as soon as you create it. A lot of times we get support calls saying, I just created this data set, there's nothing in it. Well, it has to be built. So the way that works is the next time that scheduled task runs, it will start the process of building that data set. However, once it's built, you then have the ability to create custom reports off of it. So here's okay, so that's the data set that we just created. And then see, here's a test one that I created. Now I don't know if you can see this here, but you've got the pencils to edit the different types of data sets. I just barely created this one on my test site, so if you'll notice, it may be hard to tell, but the pencil is a different color than the others. What that means is that the data set needs to be built. So in other words, the processes have to come along, go through and build that data set in order for it to work. So while it's not available, you get that different colored pencil, and you click on it saying it's currently being built. So. Okay, here's one of those situations. Has this ever happened to you? Okay, so you revise a form template, and you know, be it you revise it in-house, or you have one of our guys do it from TFS, and they send you this form template that has all of the information that you need in it. It's great. You put it into your system. Go back and you look at the reports. You'll notice that you have one column that has everything up to that time, up to the time that you revised it, and then you have another column with data with everything after that. Did that happen to anybody? Anybody know about that? Well, it does happen. So what do you do in this situation? You just discard the old data and say, hey, you know, I can't do it. Or, you know, what do you do about it? Well, there's one of two things you can do. You can either delete and create the data set, or you can create a new one to encompass the new or the old information. The only problem with deleting a data set and recreating this is that any custom reports that you've made on them work. So if you have one data set with like 50 custom reports, well, guess what? Delete the data set, those 50 reports also have to be recreated. So that's something to keep in mind. So what I've suggested to a lot of people is, if you want to keep that data, then create a new data set. So you've got both sets there. And then if the auditors come along looking for the information, you've got the different reports that you can use there. All right, scheduled reports. So you got this really useful report. You think to yourself, it would be really cool if I didn't have to log into Master Control to see this report. It would be really cool if Master Control just emailed it to me. Well, guess what? Your dreams have come true. Master Control can email you reports that you have set up. So this is how to do that. You come to Start Task, Schedule Reports, and click on New. And then you can set it up that way. Call the task name. You indicate the specific report. Put your email subject in there if you want something in the body, and you select the users that it goes to. Now, hopefully all of your users have email addresses set up, but obviously this won't work. And over here, you can set the scheduled time. So you set the time that you want, the date that you want it to start running, the time, the frequency, and what type of report you want, either PDF or Excel. So it can do that for you automatically. Okay, and scheduled tasks, there's one of these scheduled task things. When it runs at the appointed time, it will create that report and send it out to you immediately. Rules is just a little bit different. It's the same concept, but it's a little bit different. It gives you a little bit more flexibility in that it will check the report and see if there are rows there. And if there aren't, then it doesn't. So you can say, okay, if their results are greater than such and such number, then send me the report. Okay, so the rest of this is pretty much the same. You got the email import, you got the body, you got the users. You can also launch a task. So over here, you've got the same scheduled information, start date, future date.
Is that independent of what you set the report up first under scheduled reports, and now you want to apply rules to it? You'd have to basically create it under rule administration and delete the other.
Yes, that's correct. Okay, like I said, make sure your scheduled tasks are set up and running properly, or these won't work. All right, I'm running out of time, so this is one thing I wanted to cover before I'm done. Okay, now, ready for this? Everybody repeat after me, okay? Filters are your friends. Ready? Filters are your friends, okay? That's very important. Me being in the support department, I think this is very important for you to understand. And this is why I want you to ask yourself a question before you hit the submit button on that report. Do you really want to see all completed training tasks by trainee, starting from the dawn of time up until today? Chances are you probably don't. I mean, can you really look at all of that data? And those type of reports have been known to bring down your system. So what you can do if you have, well, let me just read this. Any long-running reports will have detrimental effects on your system, can bring it to a crawl, and prevent people from logging in. And you call support, me, and we look at your system and find that someone has, in fact, been running a report. So do yourself and your users a favor and educate them to use filters. So, talked about filters earlier, showed you how to do that. If you don't understand how to use filters, come find me on the Genius Desk. I'll be happy to help you. So make sure you do that. If this is a chronic problem for you and your system, there are a couple of things that we can do. Now, this is not one of those all one-size-fits-all solutions. But if it is a chronic problem that you're having quite a bit, you filtered, but your filters are still bringing down the system. There's a couple of things we can do, and this does unfortunately involve cost. We can add an analytics server to your setup. Or with version 11, we can put another presentation server into your environment to help with load balancing. Now, version 8 into 10, it's another install of master control that specifically handles reporting. So you kind of split the load at that way. It doesn't work the same in version 11, however. It's a presentation server. It both serve up master control, but it just helps with load counts. Okay. That is it. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate your patience with me. One thing before I go, just go to the survey page and fill out the survey and let me know how I did. If there's something I can improve on, please let me know. I'll be happy to do that.